everyone, this is Trey Cotton with Cotton Productions, and this is the tutorial for the ghostly walk-through wall effect. This has been requested by several of you guys. I'm going to take you through now several different tries, I guess you could say. The first attempt that I'd made, it looked pretty bad. This is it. One of the mistakes that I made was I walked all the way up against the wall, and the effect took place after I had stopped walking, so it really didn't give it the right effect. Not to mention the mask that I was using for my body. I used the points on the mask and pulled them together using keyframes, and it's really hard to do that and make it look right. And the second effect here was better. I started the effect earlier, but I still had that sharp effect, or that sharp edge on the mask. You know, I had the same issue with trying to pull the points together. It worked out a little better this time, but it still wasn't what I wanted. So then the third time, I just figured out that I could use this feather effect on the mask for the garbage mat. And use that feather effect. It gives you a little bit of a like a fade around the edges of your body when you're pulling the mask together. Okay, we're going to be using FXHome Composite Lab Pro. The first things you're going to need are, number one, you're going to need your shot with your subject in it. In this case, I'm using a blank background with, just a wall with no objects between me and the wall. So you want to go ahead and pick your background, put your subject there, and have him walk towards the wall. You want to try to have some good lighting. My lighting wasn't that great. I had to kind of enhance it through the Composite Lab Pro. And you're also going to need a blank background or a clean plate of just the wall, which you see in the upper right corner here, without your subject. So you have subject, no subject, just like this. Now, one thing you see, if you look at the difference, the background with the subject is a little darker than the one without. Well, that's because your subject standing there is causing a little bit of a shadow on the wall. And I used this rather than a green screen, just playing around. And that's one of the problems you encounter with not using a green screen, is when your guy walks to the wall, there's going to be a little bit of a darkness or shadow on the wall. And then once you close the clean background around him, you're going to see the wall get lighter. You want to try to compensate for that by using like a fade-in effect, which we'll cover with the mask. So the other way of doing this is with a green screen. In that case, you're going to have your guy further away from the green screen, take a few steps towards the green screen, and then you're going to do the same thing. The only difference is that you're going to have an exact match from your original background with your subject to your background without the subject. So anyway, when you go, you got your guy, he's going to walk, he's getting ready to go, and you can already see a shadow right in this area here. So we're going to just we're going to have him walk, and there's more shadow. That's part of the problem. Right about here, I'd say we'll go ahead and, alright, we don't want to wait until here. We want to back it up a little bit. So right about here is where we're going to start our effect. Now on your list, on your bottom left here, you're going to have your video. You want to go ahead and load your background video, drag it over, alright, and then have your background, your clean background, on the bottom of the canvas. Okay, so now you're here, and you have your background. So the difference, the wall is the same, but the shadows are there. Alright, so now we're going to go to matte, garbage mat. We're going to do that. We're going to create a freehand mask. Let's make it a little bigger just so we can draw better. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and create a mask, and we're going to go ahead and start it out a little bit away from the body and just go around, get a general shape of the body going here. A little higher on that. And this is going to kind of be our starting point. Now, one of the things you're probably going to see in a second is that if we create a keyframe right one frame before this, you're going to go instantly from shadow to no shadow. And we're going to compensate for that by trying to use several frames to fade in on the mask. Alright, once you get the mask drawn and you lock it, you want to try to go ahead and smooth the points, make it a little smoother, not so jagged, because that's going to show up in the background. That looks pretty good. Alright, click animate. You're locked in. Alright, now you want to invert the shape, so you're basically masking all of the area except your subject. Okay. Then what you're going to do is close in a few minutes, close that in around your subject to get the effect. So we got transparency is already set at max here. Feather. We're going to put a little bit of a feather. We'll start off with 6 and see how that looks. We may have to increase it. All right. So here's where we're at now. You have your subject and you have your wall. Now, this is the problem though. You got your shadows that disappear, and you can't have that mask on the entire time because let's see what frame, 7.04. If we do what we're trying to do here, we're gonna end up with like a peephole effect at the beginning of the clip. I'm gonna make sure we drag this back. Alright, this is if we don't do the fade in and that sort of thing, we're going to have this. And that's not what we want. It's not looking natural. Alright, so we're going to go to garbage mat, freehand mask, and we're going to go ahead and set the transparency to 0. Okay, now we have this. Now when we get closer to where we start our mask, which is right here, let's give it let's try about 8 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, 8 frames back. We're going to create a keyframe on your line for your freehand mask. Alright, so between here and here, we're going to go from total transparency to no transparency. Alright, so we're going to go to the second keyframe. We're going to click on freehand mask. And, well, alright, and there you go. From here, we're at 0 transparency, and then from here, we're going to gradually fade in with the mask. And let's see how that looks. Okay, that looks pretty good. So as you see, between these keyframes, your normal video here, and then boom, here's where your effect starts. As you're approaching, you see a little bit of the wall get brighter, but it really doesn't matter in this. But you're going to see the shadows disappear. Again, that's kind of a natural effect for if you're walking through the wall, shadows are going to disappear. Okay, so alright, at this point, we're going to start to close in the mask. Alright, you have this button for scale, okay?